Friends, this is an extension of my first lecture on feminism and role of feminism in business and commerce. Let us review what we did in the first lecture. Well, basically I discussed the feminism or role of feminism in Mughal period, in British period and in modern India. I also explained the importance of women's studies, gender studies in teaching and research. Now, let us extend this to another perspective, that is what really women are having the role in business, management, commerce or industry. Now, let us first discuss the advantages of women in business. What are the advantages? Why women should be more encouraged into business? First of all, it will solve our problem of diverse workforce as an innovative workforce. It will be more innovative if we have combination of people in business industry. Women also excel at the soft skills needed for business leadership. Women brings creativity, innovation and growth. Women represent huge economic power and offer important consumer insight, because let us say the industry is consumer oriented and they are serving both the communities, men, women, children. So, women can bring the new ideas into it, because what they feel should be brought into the market. Now, what are the challenges for the women in business? Women are still underrepresented in key fields. I have already told you this thing, that women are underrepresented for various reasons. There are some sectors which employs more women, but there are sectors which employ much less women. So, there is another important thing, gender bias in the workplace. Now, this is very critical. I have talked to you in the first lecture also that still, in spite of education, in spite of a lot of studies, in spite of lot of research, there is still a gender bias in businesses. Women are less successful when it comes to salary negotiation. I have observed this even in my own house. I have two daughters, one is in US, another in India. They are working for best consulting IT companies, but when negotiation of salary comes, they are hesitant. Even if I guide them, they are quite hesitant to speak to their bosses that we deserve this much or we need this much. So, this is another thing which is very important. Opportunities for women in business. What are the various opportunities which women has in business? First of all, they will bring gender equality and inclusive policy, with which I started with, and they can bring entrepreneurship as the path to leadership, because if they are entrepreneurs, they can become very good leaders. Then strengthening credentials with a business degree. Well, women also need to go for higher degrees in business schools like IIMs, of course they are going in different schools, but there is a more requirement, and as a business enterprise we should encourage them to give them enough opportunity to join business schools. And we have several examples, like most of the time women in middle class families, they work for a while and then they leave their job and they go for studies in US or Europe and then they get the job. Similarly, they can do it in India. Then specifically the e-commerce, problems faced by women entrepreneurs in e-commerce industry. Well, first of all, in e-commerce, they need to find out a proper niche. Customer acquisition, because in e-commerce they need to concentrate how to connect the customers to the business. Good supply chain and reliable logistics is needed for business women in e-commerce. Then another challenge is raising sufficient funds. Good and effective customer service is the key. Sometimes we feel that if women are handling this, they may not be able to provide good service. Small businesses in e-commerce and financial independence by selling product online. These days, this is very popular in the sense you will see that during the COVID, most of the women, in the household, they started their business of different things like cooking, like, cake making, similarly various other small things, and doing it online very successfully, and they are supplementing the income of the household, or sometimes their husbands lost job and they are taking care of the expenses of the household. Now, let us talk about the various studies in research and teaching on women, especially in business and commerce. Well, let me tell you because I am not going to discuss all the studies here, but what I am saying, what is the conclusion of those studies? First of all, most of the studies say that women are deprived, no doubt about it. They are much less paid in comparison to men. They are more concentrated into lower jobs. The men dominance is still there. Then they do not have say in decision making. This is another important observation. And then the last important observation is, most of the time they do not inherit the properties, they do not inherit the wealth, and they are not allowed to enter into the decision making of the families. This is another important observation. But there is another thing here. Let us see the status of women in agriculture. Now, if you see the agriculture, if you go to villages, towns, small towns, you will see most of the time women are working in fields, and this is the only sector where the women are outnumber the men. In spite of the fact that they are taking care of the household, they are working in the agriculture fields and they are taking care of the family. Then there, another important thing, women in certain states and communities look after home as well as outside work. I have already discussed this thing by giving you an example of Kerala. There are certain states like UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, where women are doing the dual role. Man is literally not doing anything. Then another important aspect is the even educated women. They are facing the discrimination of caste and communities. They are also facing that. Even less educated women, they feel exploited at the jobs, at the business enterprises. We have observed this. This is also observation of various studies. Then village women, of course, doing lot of work in the household, grazing the cattle, as I said, milk products, and dairy business. They are also facing various issues of the dominated men in the villages, in the towns, or from khafs, panchayats. These kind of issues are there. Mindset of our elderly, we are not able to change, especially there is a lot of debate on wearing jeans by young girls, and we have seen that there is a dikkat issues by the elderly, that you will not do this, and this creates a rebellion atmosphere in the households. Then khafs and panchayat, they issue certain norms for women, young women, or women in the household, that how they will put themselves in the society. This is another important issue. Then regional disparities. Well, friends, another important issue is that there is a lot of disparity reason wise among women in business and commerce. Like in Delhi NCR, the women are more into business and more into commerce, more into industry, that is there. But there are areas which are backward and the women is not coming forward, and special reason for that is the education among women, because these households are not sending young girls to the schools and colleges. Another important aspect is women and literature. This is also very important. The other day we organized one program, and there was a literature lady who is a household lady, but she has made her name in literature. Now see why I am saying literature, because you can make living from your taste. By writing the literature also you can make living, and you are not a professor, you are not a educationist, but still you have a flair for that and you can do it. Then another important aspect is that these literary women, or the people who are writing on women like Premchand did, and various writers who are making films, they depict the character of women, and that is one thing that they the society is being benefited. Another thing is that women also make money out of this. So this is a business opportunity as well as the projection of women in the society. So Munshi Premchand did it very well. After that, various writers, there were a lot of films on women, specifically on women, and basically taken from the literature. So this is another important thing which I wanted to say here. Now women in management in the new economic environment, especially in new economic environment post liberalization, I can say 1990. After that, the role of women in India in business enterprises has increased tremendously, because opening up of economy has brought lot of multinationals, lot of consulting companies, lot of IT companies into India, as well as women are freely going outside India for their jobs. I can again give you the example of my daughter. She went for doing MS, and she took 4 bags and going alone to US. I was amazed. That kind of dedication or that kind of commitment is there among women in middle class household. Then liberalization, as I said, in 1990 lot of liberalization happened, so new economic opportunities has come to the women. Then women are learning these days the marketing skills and talent, because marketing is the key component in business, and they have special skills in this direction. We can see it in fashion industry, we can see in consumer industry, we can see even in banking industry, we can see even insurance industry, that they are better market the products of banking industry or insurance industry. Women in management in Indian context is again a point where we need to look after, because they are not represented fully in the management. Of course, the government of India has made it compulsory, which I said, that 1 woman in each board, but still in the higher management, in CEOs level, even at other decision making level, the women are less represented. They are now represented quite high in IT industry, but still there are gender bias in other industries. Especially in modern India, the women has got lot of opportunity, which I can say, because we all belong to middle class families, and we have seen that we are very keen to promote our girl's child in the house. But still in rural India or in certain communities, in certain castes, still they are not going for education or underrepresented. So this is major problem, but we have to explore new opportunities for women. Like I recently went to a Naxalite area where I saw girls are very interested in sports, but we are not doing anything extraordinary for them to bring their talent for sports. Like girls from Northeast, see our first medal came from a Northeast girl, Meera Chanu. Now we have to encourage this, because this is not only a profession but also a business, or also a living way of living, that you promote these things among the girls. Then you can see in Olympics also the first 2 medals came from women only. Similarly, if you see today, our hockey team, has gone into semi-final, girls hockey team, and I see the rarest of jobs done by girls like surfing, skiing. They are the masters in that. Not only earning money, but they are opening their own coaching institutions and teaching it very well. Now, another important aspect which I would like to speak today is, see, basically women and management in India, very specifically I can say that we need to do something more extraordinary in order to bring the women into business and management, especially from village areas, town areas, from those areas. Various initiatives we need to take in order to empower women managers. We need to encourage them that they should go for higher studies. We need to encourage them that they can take long leaves for their family commitments. Recently I came to know in US, the companies are giving 1 year leave for going for commitment that, let us say, their family, elder in their family is sick. They can get 1 year paid leave. So these kind of initiatives are extremely important. Then employees and managers relationship, which women can manage much better. Then there are certain barriers to women career progression, which I have already talked to you. Gender stereotypes and roles expectation, well, sometimes we feel that these are the things which only men can do. It is not like that. Anything today, women are driving buses, they are driving taxis, they are driving rickshaws, so they can do anything. They are driving the metro. Now, what are the key strengths of women in a business enterprise? Better relationship. They are more sympathetic and empathetic. Sympathetic and empathetic, because they are more sensitive to the needs of other employees. Networking is better. Better understanding and perceivance of the situation. If any complication arise, they better perceive in comparison to men. Their dedication, commitment and loyalty is much higher in comparison to men. They can handle multiple tasks together. Now, why women do not accept managerial jobs? I have already discussed that, but still there are various things which I would like to take up. Because, managerial positions, sometimes you will have to be more committed and forget so many things at the household, at the family level, in order to remain committed to the business. Especially you can see that Indra Nuvi, she took so many steps at PepsiCo. She had, most of the employees she employed was women at PepsiCo. So these kind of initiatives, these kind of managers are required for our enterprise, and we can try these. I think this will be a very successful model. Now, they are better, managers to handle the crisis situation. Their readiness to share information and power. We have seen that the women are quite capable to handle the managerial positions. They are better in teamwork. They are better in power sharing, in sharing information, and they are more neutral. But I have also observed, which is a fact, and I always tell all my women employees that most of the time I see that women is more critical of fellow women rather than men. So this mindset need to be changed, because they need to encourage each other. Now, what are the key challenges faced by managers? I have already discussed few, like dual role, because their role is dual, family as well as business. Then in various sectors the role is different, and they also has to face the male ego, because male always feel that you are the boss. Then the laws has to be looked into, because we have seen in Delhi various crimes against women. So laws need to be framed in order to protect the women. Then the HR initiatives in making such initiative that if there is any problem, women should be protected. The one researcher, Radhika Chadha, said companies will lose in the competitive battle if they lack empathy with women. So what she is trying to say, that if we do not promote women, we will lose in the competitive world, because consumer base is 50% women and handful of women. How companies understand the psyche of the women. If women are less, they will not be able to understand the psychology of the women. Now another important thing is that I told you the skilling is important, communication is important, because sometimes our women coming from rural areas, our girls coming from rural areas, their communication is not that effective. So we need to work on that. We need to develop leadership qualities, we need to develop decision making qualities, we need to do the time management of the skills, and we have to do the confidence building like we do in the classroom. I am sure all the teachers, you all are teachers, you must be building a confidence among your girl student. Now what helps and what is needed for women to move to the managerial position? Well, the way forward for women managers in India is basically the technology and flexibility in timing of their work. These are the two basic things, that the technology, they need to be proficient in technology, then they should be given the flexibility. As I said, they should be given various kind of leaves, to take care of the family, to take care of their elders, or to take care of their children, and similarly the flexibility in working hours. Now many organizations have a strategy for hiring and retaining women. These days I see IT companies, consulting companies, banking companies, investment companies, they have special strategy to hire the women and keep them. So in the conclusion, I can say the satisfaction, the motivation and commitment is the key for women employees. Now another small observation I would make, that if I do the sector wise classification of business, then let us see what is the position of women. Like in agriculture and allied activities, the women outnumbered men. Manufacturing and equipment, very few women, very few. We need to improve this ratio, maybe by 20 to 30%. Then IT and consulting, very good ratio of women working in these companies. Food and beverages, again we have to improve the ratio. Of course there are more coming in this area, because lot of women are doing household cooking, household cake making, or household any of those skills, and similarly they are also running the restaurants, but still more need to be done. Banking, lot of women are working in this area. Real estate and construction, this is less represented. Now we have to see that of course women are there, but still men dominate this area. Media, a lot of women are coming up every day, whether it is a print media, social media or electronic media, women are working in large numbers, but we can improve this ratio. Health and medicine, this is also very little represented, because health professionals, of course at the lower level there are a lot of women, but at the higher level, at the doctors level, at the medical superintendents and higher level, there are less people. Hotel and catering, again hotel and catering is mainly men dominated, so we need to improve the ratio of women in this sector also. So with this friends, let me conclude that women has a place in business and industry, has a place in management, but we need to work together in order to improve this further, and we have to make ourselves in such a way that teaching and research in women's studies, in gender studies should improve, and we should come out with more and more studies, project and research in the area of women and gender. issues. Thank you very much.